Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
In this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about Dolittle, Steve, and we have part 2 of our interview with Paul Minter from the charity Head Up.
Welcome one and all to the Kindness Project on this fine day, evening, night, afternoon.
Well, we're actually recording in the morning this morning.
We're recording in the morning, yes.
So we've up. It's a Saturday morning. I don't know what time you're listening to this or what day, but it's a Saturday morning, bright and early. And Ryan isn't happy because I'm joined by a man who normally has a lay-in, but I got him out of bed because we had to record a podcast. It's Ryan of Dames.
And we're joined by a man who was almost replaced by a dog.
Well, you know what? I was making a coffee ready to record the podcast. Come back. The dog is sitting in my podcasting chair. What is going on? Now, you could argue, listeners, that would be a fine choice in the Kindness Project to replace me with a dog. And I've got to be frank, I wouldn't disagree. Raz, what do you think about replacing me with a dog?
I think he was a much better view than I got now.
Oh, charming. Absolutely charming.
I think that I'm sure there's a niche somewhere in the world where somebody just likes listening to dogs. So we might.
Well, I mean, dogs are cute. We
For an audio format, though.
For an audio format, not so much. But
we could advertise at Crufts, couldn't we?
We could. I wonder if there is a niche just for a dog podcast.
Yeah.
Just dogs barking.
Me and Dexter could talk all day, like just...
What do you talk about, Charlotte?
I'll mostly just respond to whatever he's talking about,
So how does he spark the conversation?
Woof.
Woof. He starts with woof, right? Go on, and what happens next?
I just go, right, yeah, I understand. And he starts barking, and I go, yeah, that's a very valid point, and I get this thing you've got, but look, and then he just barks back, and he's like, oh yeah, that's a.
These titles are going to write themselves. That's going to be thumbnail for a start.
Do you ever talk to your? Do you have long, full-blown intellectual conversations with your dog, Raz?
Well, no.
You know what? I know. I can tell what Raz is thinking there, and what Raz just did there is well known as the thought of something funny to say. But they decided that it was too controversial to say it. That was right, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Because he went, well, no. Well, no. Definitely not.
No.
That was amazing. And can I just say today, you absolutely slated me for my question of the podcast this week.
I did.
You didn't think it was going to be a good question of the podcast.
Yeah.
But even because we've already published this question online on our social media channels, we know that the response has been amazing to it already.
I tend to point out, though, you did phone me and glow the following day.
I did. I had to. Because it was less gloating, more shock that actually... it had gone down as well as it did. So the question of the podcast, very simply,
who's your favourite Steve?
Who is your favourite Steve? Who's your favourite Steve?
I don't know. I don't think I've got a favourite Steve. I think Steve is a dying name.
Controversial. Steve's a dying name.
I don't know anyone my age named Steve.
No.
I don't know.
Now, what I'd like to know, how many listeners we've got called Steve that we've just offended.
No,
because Charlotte said Steve's a dying name.
I'm not saying it's a bad name. I'm just saying it's not very common anymore.
Your name's no longer relevant. Don't listen.
Sorry, what's your name? Steve. You don't matter anymore. I mean, this is like...
Oh, you're one of them. Yeah.
You're one of them. Oh, you're a Steve, are you?
Like, it's going to get to the point you can tell someone's age by there's
a lot of that.
That's always been the case, though.
Yeah, I think Steve's one of those names that's not as common anymore. It's like, it fell out of fashion, like Gertrude or.
Like Annan was called.
Sorry, you've just compared the name Steve, which is a perfectly popular boy's name of a particular generation, to what name?
Gertrude.
Gertrude.
This was a perfectly popular girl's name of a generation,
True.
but not anymore.
True. Hyacinth. I don't know where the Hyacinth has gone. Huh?
We had a name called Maud.
Maud.
Yeah.
Well,
There's a good poem about a mould. Claire. I like that poem.
Sorry, we just had Charlotte there, just on a podcast going, a mould, a mould, a mould, a mould, mould.
No, it's a poem I like.
A mould, and then she just goes, Claire, a mould.
At least she hasn't slated our listeners called Maud.
What do you think? What do you think about the name mould, though?
I've never met someone called Mould.
Never met a mould.
Never met a Maud.
I've met a mould.
So have I.
You know what? It's lucky because our granddad was, and Charlotte's great granddad, who she did meet, but never can't remember. I'd imagine there's a photo of granddad at Charlotte's christening, and he was he was in his late 80s by then, but lobbied to call Charlotte Albertina.
They wanted to call Kay that as well.
They didn't give it up then, did they? Generation by generation. Right, when's this going to catch on?
Mummy used to tell me the story that he wanted to call Kay that as well.
What, Albertina?
Yeah, Albertina, yeah.
So how would you feel if you got quite a sort of mainstream name now, Charlotte? How would you feel if you had a dead name like Steve? Because you might have been called Albertina.
I'll be unique.
Unique. See, this is the thing. Our Steve's unique now. Yeah, exactly.
Steve's are becoming more and more unique of a certain
generation.
I'm not saying that being a Steve is bad. I'm just saying, that's not a name you hear anymore, is it?
Well, I know
they're few and far between, but I've met a few Russes lately.
Have you? What Russes have you met?
Russ Hayworth.
Good Russ is a legend. Russ. Sorry, we need to explain to our podcast listeners. We also, as you know, if you're a regular listener, run a financial planning business in East London. And Russ Hayworth is a legendary guy. Check out his podcast, particularly if you run a family business. It's called the Family Business Podcast. And I've got to say, probably my favourite Russ. What?
I totally agree.
What other Russes you met?
And manager diary.
Sorry, Russ. Second favourite. Russell Brand's another popular Russ.
I'm seeing a lot of them lately. Russell Howard.
Russell Howard, good name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's coming back into fashion now.
Well, it's not really Russ, because Russell Brand,
I've 40 odd years for it, but.
Well, the problem is Russell Brand, Russ Hayworth, and Russell Howard are all in their late 30s and 40s. So I've got a feeling that, like Steve.
Yeah, but the trouble with naming is people name their kids on what they see on telly, other than Apple and Pear or whatever it is, which they've just raided the fruit jar for that.
That's what you do.
What month were they born in?
If we ever have another child, which we won't, I'm going to name that child, regardless of it being a boy or girl, Banana Plum Days. That's what I'm going for. No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. What?
You got to name it Courgette.
Courgette? No, that's more of a middle name. Banana Plum, Courgette, Apricot,
Arugula.
And then there was that fad a little while back, wasn't there, to name them after the city you conceived in.
Well, no comment. Anyway, on that note, let's. I was going to tell the story about how Charlotte was almost called Cape Town Dames, but I'm not going to do that. On that note, let's move on very quickly. Tell us who your favourite Steve is using the following channels.
On Twitter, we're at All of Kindness. On Facebook, you type this project into the search bar. You can't see my typing motions, but I am totally doing it. Please imagine it in your head. We should come up as the first one. If you want to find us on Google, just put the Kindness Project podcast into the search bar. We should come up at the top, right at the top, because we are actually not we're not no names anymore. We've got some no.
We're not no names anymore. We're consequential is the word.
We've got a small amount of notoriety.
We're notorious. Like the name Steve, we're notorious.
And if you want to avoid all the faff of going through Google, www.kindnessproject.co.uk.
And on the kindnessproject.co.uk, you can find every single of one of the 235 episodes we've already published. Can you believe we've published that many?
This episode makes 236.
It does.
So if you want to email us, get in touch without going through the faff of finding it on the website, it's all at thekindnessproject.co.uk. And if you want to find us anywhere else, please get in touch and maybe we can be found another way.
Yeah, I mean, we get
in another dimension.
We get emails, tweets, all sorts of stuff all the time. So we love to hear from our listeners and people who have sort of worked with us as guests and stuff in the past. We are always looking for really amazing people to interview as well. So if you know somebody who would really effectively, the rule is, listeners, that as long as we've got somebody with an amazing story to share about something they've done brilliantly in the world, we'd love to yourself. Sorry?
Keep it to yourself.
If you've got an amazing story about you doing something brilliant in the world, don't show off, mate. Let us know and we'll be able to share it. Right, we're going to do one kindness news today, and that kindness news is we couldn't find the page we're looking for. Producer Russ, what is going on with that piece of news? Oh no, now this is a really important one because I'm hoping to have the guys behind the story as a guest soon.
Please come and join us.
Because we have been introduced by a previous guest of ours, who's a legend in himself. So we're hoping that the guys from the Kindness Shop in Carlisle come and have a chat with us.
I thought it was the Kindness Shop.
Let's talk about that. The world's first pop-up shop where our items are bought with acts of kindness, opening Carlisle this week. The Kindness Shop on Paternoster Row looked like any other high street store with a range of stylish items, featuring everything from barbecues to garden chairs and hampers. The only difference was that to pay for items, shoppers just needed to show some kindness by volunteering a suggested number of hours at one of the local charities on offer. Customers at the Carlisle shop promised over 200 hours of time to local charities, many of whom had never been involved in volunteering previously. And when added to the Dumfries kind of pop-up, over 600 hours have been pledged to help out charities. The Cumberland Building Society is promoting the project as part of its campaign to promote kindness. Des Moore, Chief Executive of the Cumberland, said, "We're changing the purpose of our company. Our purpose was to make a positive difference in the lives of the community's customers and colleagues." Now, this is really important, I think, because I speak about this in my sort of in the world of work all the time. One of the most important things I think is, yes, delivering a service that's valuable and important to your clients and customers, but doing a bit of good in the world as well. Yeah. And I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive.
No, you can definitely do good things and still do things at the same time. Like, it doesn't have to limit you just to do good things.
And doing good things and making a profit so that you can support your own family life and business is certainly something that we can all do. So I'm glad that Desmore, Chief Executive of the Cumberland, is looking at that. Over the last few years, society has evolved, said Des, and we wanted to change our purpose. Our new purpose is to create a banking experience which is kinder to both the people and the planet, and a kinder experience. Kindness is not something you normally associate with banking, so we're trying to draw that out of people. We can take the idea of kindness from Cumbria and spread it around the UK. Charities taking part include the British Health Foundation, Shelter, Acorn Bank, Oak Tree Animals Charity, Cumbria Deaf Association, and West Cumbria Rivers Trust. Organiser Helen Statham, Director of Intro PR, said we wanted to do something big, and what a better way to be kind than giving away a lot of amazing things and support a load of charities in the process. The first customer was Sarah Tallyberry of Wigton, who just happened to be walking down Paternoster Road as the shop opened. She walked away with a table and chairs bistro set for a garden, a bird box and some relishes, but Sarah will be paying for these goodies by volunteering for 24 hours with Age UK, Anti-Racist Cumbria and English Heritage. This was my lucky day. I didn't know it was happening, couldn't believe when I was told all these lovely things were free. I'm a bit of a history nerd, so working with English Heritage is ideal, and I hadn't heard of Anti-Racist Cumbria, so I'm really looking forward to working with them. This is such a nice idea to give some time back to the community. It's a great idea, isn't it? Love it. Elizabeth Johnson was also thrilled with her bargain. It's a beautiful plant and lovely stand for 4 hours of volunteering for Age UK. That's absolutely nothing. The kind of shop will be popping up in Kendal on Friday in Finkel Street between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. If you're in that area, be sure to check that out. And I love that idea. And on that note, let's move on to the interview. This week's interview is the second part of our interview with Paul Minter from the charity Head Up. Paul's an amazing guy, currently running around the UK to fundraise. Do
we know where he is at the moment? Has he got like a tracker?
Well, he's past us. He's sort of, there is a tracker on the Head Up website. And if you follow Paul on all of his socials, which we put with the show notes on the interview on the kindnessproject.co.uk, you'll be able to track Paul and find out where he is currently. But Charlotte is moving fast. I mean, I was going to go out for a run with him, and then because I had a busy few days, checked and he'd already run past, and I didn't get a chance to do it. So if you are a runner, it's a perfect opportunity to support Paul by going out for a run with him and keeping him company along his journey. But certainly worth taking a look at the amazing work he's doing and sponsoring it if you feel it's appropriate for you. Let's get on with the second part of the interview.
Because I'd imagine the principles that apply, the principles you're teaching to people in the forces, even though it is designed to tackle, as you say on the website, things like PTSD and stuff like that, they're principles that potentially apply to people in civilian life as well, right?
Every single person can use them.
Yeah.
And we're not creating anything new. We're just taking stuff that's already out there and just giving people the awareness, the knowledge.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. And it's stuff that I've used in my past. Some stuff I haven't used. I'm looking forward to implementing it into my life. But, you know, I've personally helped dozens and dozens of people that have been in a bad place. And I just simply give them a bit of an understanding as to, let's start, what are you doing throughout the day? You're sitting indoors, and normally they sit indoors all day. All right, let's go and stand outside the front door. Yeah, get some fresh air, go for a little walk somewhere. Let's do a bit of journaling. Let's get stuff off your head. The journaling at night. Let's do a bit of visualization of where you want to be in the future. Yeah. We talk about like animal therapy. Let's hang around with animals for a little while. It's amazing how animals can help people.
Oh, you know what? Charlotte loves that, don't you?
What?
You love a bit of animal therapy.
Oh, yeah. If I have a bad day, go and hug me dog.
You know what? Dogs are amazing for your mental health. You made friends at your college because of the dog, didn't you?
Yeah, because they have a dog that comes in every Monday and just sits at the reception, and you just like large groups of people, and they had this thing where they had like, I think they were pug puppies.
Oh, amazing.
And everyone that was on like their list of students who have potential mental health problems got to go and sit with the puppy.
Hug a pug. I love the idea.
I love it.
Hug a pug day.
Yeah, brilliant.
So you said you're trying to raise 3 million at the moment. Now that's going to last you 2 years, did you say?
Well, it's for the development of the retreat, and it's to make sure that we've got 2 years of fun.
Worth and running costs in the bag.
That's it. And then we will just what we're doing with businesses, we're saying to them, can you donate a certain amount for 5 years, say, for example, and many have already agreed to that. But then there's lots and lots of different avenues you can get money for, and once we prove what we're doing, and it's working, it's helping. We really want to start sending teams out into the armed forces, head up teams, to go and then teach these methods on a wider scale. And hopefully they can then fund us. They've got the funding to do that. So it's all about just one step at a time at the moment. Let's get 2 million or 3 million even. Let's make sure that the retreat is developed. Let's get it working, and let's show people.
And then sort of expand it from there and try and get the message more widespread.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I suppose, I mean, that one step at a time thing is what you describe in terms of the journey towards positive mental health, isn't it? Because it's like, as you say, if you've been inside for too long, let's just take that first step and just go for a walk. It doesn't need to be anything particularly adventurous. I mean, we'll talk about adventure because I am in awe of your massive running ability. I can do a slow marathon, Paul, but I'm not running around the country anytime soon. But that bite-sized chunk, like just trying stuff on a incremental basis is probably the way to go, right?
Absolutely, it really is. And when we look to the end of something, so it could be, like you say, I want to do a marathon, and some people go, oh, too much. You're looking at the end product. There's so much in between that.
Just go for a run. Just like do a mile.
Do a mile, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's that incremental steps is really important. Do you want to ask about the?
Oh yeah, so you've mentioned the run, and Dad's mentioned the run a couple of times. So actually, what are you actively doing?
Tell us about sort of
run around the coast of the UK.
So I'm running around the whole coastline of England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Isle of Wight, and Isle of Man, which has never been done before. Not all of those.
You know what? You've missed out too many islands, Paul. This is come on. What? Where's the Outer Hebrides? No, that is an impressive feat, mate. Honestly.
Yeah, so I'm doing it in 7 months. So I'm averaging about 31 miles a day at the moment.
Amazing.
That's 6 days out of 7. So that today is my 7th day, which is always a godsend, and I'm on a bit of a rest day. And but the run isn't about me; it's about the charity. I'm flying the flag. I've got a 4-foot flag that I fly around with. Hundreds and hundreds of people join me. If it's for a mile, if it's for a day, 2 days, whatever they want to do, they come and join me on a bike or they run. I never go home, so everything I've got is in my bag. And I run around with it. So it's about 10 kilograms worth of kit I run around with as well. And I stay with different people every evening. I've hardly ever stayed with someone that I've known. So I get to meet new people, spread the word, make connections.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like that ability to just say, I'm doing this. And one of the things that we talk about quite a lot on the Kindness Project is how, given the opportunity, people are generally good. Have you found that in terms of sort of the experience and on the run so far?
I've come into contact with thousands of people, thousands so far, and I've not had one bad experience.
Yeah.
People hear about what I'm doing, they see the flag, they ask what it's all about, and they're just, everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a mental health story, because we all have mental health. And even if they haven't got one that they want to talk about themselves, they know someone. And I've had, for example, yesterday I was on a run, and I came from Hull all the way down to Grimsby, and a lovely couple got on a motorbike and rode all the way in from York, so over 50 miles, just to say, well done, and you're doing a great job, and then rode back home again.
Love it. What's the end point? Where are you finishing?
So Liverpool, I started in Liverpool,
Okay.
And I go clockwise, just hugging the coastline as much as possible. So I've gone all around Scotland, all northwest of England, all around Scotland. I've done just finished in northeast of England. I'm in the east coast now, once I finish, once I go to England and Wales, I go over to Northern Ireland, then I go to Isle of Man, and I finish my last 5K to finish back at my start point back in Liverpool. But
Liverpool's a great place to start and finish, though. What a city to do that. Why did you pick Liverpool as your start point?
Because I wanted to hit the south of England, which is where I've got a lot of support from the military. I wanted to hit them during the summer, and there's a lot of people down there, so I think we're going to get a lot of support down there. And also, Scotland's a nice one to kind of get out of the way first. It's all over the place in terrain.
Well, you know what? I mean, I know you ran through our growth because my wife's mum and dad live up there. My in-laws live up there. And I had an experience in February where I was up watching the football. I was watching our growth with Cassie's dad, and it's the closest ground to the sea in the country. It wasn't a particularly pleasant experience, to be honest, Paul. I'm used to just being a bit warmer at football matches, not wearing about 27 layers in February just to keep warm. And on that note, what I'd be interested in knowing is what has been the best and the worst experiences you've had on the road so far.
Yes, lots of people joining me. That's been fantastic. I've had everything from a young girl at 12 years old. She came out of her dad. She wanted to come and run. So she came out of her dad and she ended up running 14 miles.
At 12 as well?
14. She'd only ever done 3 or 4 miles before. So I'm 14 because she was enjoying it that much.
Yeah.
It was great. And then a few days later, I actually ran with a gentleman who's 74 years old called Rob. He came and he dusted off his trainers after 14 years, I think he said. He just done 2 miles with me, and that was in the northeast of Scotland, and it just turned. And I asked him where his accent was from, and he's from Ilford, and I'm from East Ham, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, amazing to be all that way from home and just have somebody who's on your doorstep. And what's been the worst bit? Has injuries been, and has it been fine in terms of that, or have there been bits where it's been quite lonely? Tell us a bit about that.
So injury wise, I get aches and pains. I'm just one constant pain in the leg. That's never going to go. Right. But when I got to Scotland, to Gretna, which was the first place as you enter Scotland on the southwest coast, I slipped in the shower and cracked 2 ribs. Oh, so, that wasn't very nice. I've had no running injuries. I just had a silly slip.
Yeah,
that was difficult.
Shower. Yeah. After everything you've been through in the forces as well, to slip in the shower. But it's So
that was part 2. We've got part 3 next week, Russ.
We have, yeah.
Amazing. Russ comes off mute. Let's get on with the end of the show.
Here's the end of another podcast, but the end is never truly the end because the end is always the beginning of something entirely new. And I just saw Dad subconsciously reaching for his mug as I said "'tis the end," and I think that's a sign of how brilliant these mugs are.
I can't see the end. I can't see the bottom yet because I'm still halfway through my coffee. Right, a few answers to last week's question, which is what's the best European city you've visited? Kevin Hull said best small city Porto, not been there. Large city Barcelona, have been there, loved it.
Barcelona's nice.
Phil Fitzgibbon said probably Barcelona, maybe Amsterdam. Carol Hussey said Barcelona. Barcelona's increasingly popular. Andrew Elliott said Venice. Steve Dan said Barcelona and Rome. Stacey Keane said Maastricht, which is an interesting choice. She could move there. David Crozier said Split in Croatia, although Porto and Barcelona are up there. Nick Champton said European cities don't do much for me. You can only walk over so many bridges in a day, although Dublin would probably stand out. New York is the biggest city I've ever been to, and I'll go back tomorrow in a heartbeat.
You stumbled over Probs, didn't you?
Probs, yeah, that probably. Elliot Kay said Dubrovnik, I like Dubrovnik, or Rome. Mike Christie said Barcelona and Liverpool. Steve Chilton loved Prague. We're off to Prague in a couple of weeks. I've been to Prague. Prague's a good city. Sharon Hurst said Porto. Clive Gelf said Benidorm. like beer and fry ups, Clive. Toby Hector said Barcelona, Vienna. Does not mean nothing to me. And on that note, that's the end of another podcast. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you on the show soon. Bye.
Bye.